Hey, assalamu alaikum everyone. Congregational prayer. This will be a quick lesson, but something that we need to know is that, in order to encourage everybody, is that you get 27 times more reward when you pray in a congregation. And it shows that Islam is not a one-man show. You try to do everything all by your own, but you have to always be in a group. And a lot of our worship is actually encouraged to be, there, of course, there's some worship that you pray on your own, but when it comes to our 5 daily prayers, I'm talking about the fard, the mandatory prayers, it is highly encouraged to pray at the mosque, or compulsory. Let me write this down. Compulsory prayers. Highly encouraged to pray at a mosque, or even if you're on your own. Let's say you're at home and people over, and you live way far from the mosque, and it's just not feasible for you to go to the mosque. You can pray, make a congregational prayer at home as well. How do you do this? So let's say you have 2 people, just stand right next to each other. But of course, if you have 3 people, don't make rows like this. Make sure that the imam or the lead stays at the front, and the people behind you, the two people who are behind the imam, are right behind the imam, and they will be. You got to make sure that it's shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder, and no gaps. And of course, over time you'll find out that there's going to be a lot of cases where there will be, in some of the minor cases, there will be some difference of opinion, and it is very well-known opinion as well, which is that also, feet should also be touching, feet to feet as well. Shoulder to shoulder, feet to feet. Make sure that you're leaving no gaps. That's the key right here. Leaving no gaps when you're in a congregational prayer. Now, if somebody else comes, just join right next to the person. Another person comes, try to keep it all even. Let's make sure we're right behind the imam. Keep it all balanced. Another person comes, just keep on joining until you hit the wall, and then you can start another row behind. And this is how it's done at a mosque. You will notice that imam is praying. Now, you want to make sure that when the imam is praying, you are behind the imam. And by behind the imam, I don't mean like physically, but in terms of when if he's standing in the standing position, don't be ahead of him. Don't just go down into the bowing position. Wait for the indication. That's the key. Wait for indication to move to the next step from the imam. Imam is the only one that people should be able to hear. Nobody else is, saying anything out loud. So, what's the indication? He will say Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. And we know that just like how we pray our normal prayers, we'll be praying, and then somebody will say, let's say we're praying by ourselves. We're in the standing position. We know in order to go from standing to the bowing down position, you say Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Let me make this in. Okay. And then from bowing down to standing again, you would say Sami Allah, Uliman Hamidan, and of course it keeps going. And then from standing to prostration, you would again say Allahu Akbar, and then both prostrations, and then at the end you would say Salam, right? Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. All of these indications of going to the next step are recited by the imam out loud. So you know that it's time to go to the next position. Even if you can't see the imam, you can hear him. You know that it's time for you to go to the next position, and everybody follows the imam. Now, when in the standing position, we know that there is Surah Fatiha, and there is additional surah. These are recited out loud by the Imam only in Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha prayer. And on top of that, only in the first two rak'ah. The first two units. Okay, and you should be familiar with some of the terminologies here, but just something to know that you will go to the mosque and Imam will be out loud, and then all of a sudden he just stays quiet. And what's going on over here? It is, and in some prayers, like when you go for the noon prayers, when you go for Dhuhr and Asr prayer, it's practically silent. These prayers right here are silent. Of course, you're reciting everything that we have taught in this course, but everything is said in the heart. You can't, you're not saying it out loud. Only steps that are, or only recitation that is actually said out loud in all prayers are these right here that I marked in blue, in order to indicate the congregation that it's time to go to the next step. So Surah Fatiha and additional surah are recited out loud in Fajr, Maghrib, and Isha prayer only in the first two rak'ah, and in the third and fourth rak'ah they are recited silent. So these are just some points to know that if you ever get an opportunity, you might be a beginner right now, you're just learning how to pray, but eventually there will be a time where you will get an opportunity, inshallah, God willing, to be leading the prayer, and you should know these points. And always know, stay behind the Imam whenever you're falling behind the Imam in a congregational prayer. It is 27 times more reward to pray in a congregation than praying by yourself. And make sure that rows are straight. And that's pretty much what you need to know about congregational prayer. There's definitely more that you can learn. And every topic that we have covered in this course, we can go into detail for all of them. And there's always going to be special circumstances, and how do we do that, and what happens if X happens, and we don't, this is, for this course, it's and I would say that it's more than just a high level course. So whatever, whether it's this lesson or any other lessons that we have taught, definitely there will be more topics that you can learn. More additional points that you can learn about each topic, and but our goal is to make sure that we give all the tools to get everyone started and know more than just enough to be part of the congregational prayer, or how to pray, and additional points are being mentioned. But for now, I think this is a good start to have everybody get started with the congregational prayer. Make sure that you always keep in mind that there's a lot more reward in praying in congregation than praying by yourself at home. And of course, all of these congregational prayers that I'm talking about, I'm mainly talking about the 5 daily prayers. There's more prayers as well, which we'll mention later on, which you can pray in congregation, but these are 5 daily prayers, and only the 2-4-4-3-4. All right, the fard prayers, the fard or compulsory or mandatory prayers. These are the ones that I'm talking about, where you have to pray in a congregation. And of course, after this is done, then you can pray the sunnahs, the 12 sunnahs that I talked about after that. But this is it. This is what we need to know about the congregational prayer, how it's done, how is it different than our normal prayers that we just pray at home. And we'll see you in our next lesson. Thank you.